Good morning and welcome everybody to the last day of WinterLeague. And today we are going to discuss also an important topic, which is data science and transfers and scouting. And I would love to invite Didem Dilmen, Communication Director, for doing a moderating today. Welcome, Didem. Hello. And I will invite the speakers, starting with Matteo Comparisonator. Hello, welcome. It's hard to say your last name, but I did it.
Campodonico.
Amenico Branco, Head of Recruitment at Comparisonator. Welcome.
Morning.
Good morning, welcome. And Mr. Tarkan Batgün, Founder at Comparisonator.
Thank you.
Welcome. And Didem, stage is yours. Thank you.
Thanks a lot. Thanks a lot. Oh, by the way, good morning, everyone, from the last day of the WinterLeague organization, and it was very, very effective. And we have lots of good questions. We had lots of good answers, and it's great to have all together with the football industry. And today, I have very, very important guests. Mr. Tarkan Batgün is founder of Comparisonator, and Amenico Branco is head of recruitment of Comparisonator, and Matteo Comparisonator from Vice Scout, former CEO of Vice Scout. So I'm going to start with the start. So I'm going to ask Matteo, the first days of Vice Scout. So give us a description of the days first days of data scouting and how Vice Scout became an idea, and what was the general imagine of the days.
Thank you. Welcome to everyone, and thanks for the invitation. Vice Scout started in 29. The idea came a bit before. The idea came because I used to provide match analysis services to some Italian Serie A clubs. I started discussing with the sport directors, meeting them, understanding how they work in transfer also. One day I was with the Lazio sport director. It was probably the last day of the transfer window. His desk was full of DVDs. 2010, no internet, different world. He received a call from the owner of the club. Do you have to buy this player or not? He said, let me check the video. I cannot remember this player. He couldn't find the DVD. So he couldn't tell nothing to his owner. Of course, he got upset in front of me. That day, I told him, I can do something. No? So the first idea of a big database, initially of video, then Vice Scout starting providing also data. Grew up that day. Of course, initially Vice Scout was a video database, because also data collection was very hard. Today data collection is easier and easier because the quality of the videos is good. But if you are in the industry from years, you know that 10 years ago, the quality of a video of a second division in Argentina, in Italy too, or in Turkey was not so good. So the pixel definition was very bad, and the mistakes was very common. Also the culture was completely different. When we started Vice Scout, most of the sport director, the scout told, hey guys, you cannot scout a player by video. You have to go, just to go. We cannot trust on video.
How much better, huh?
And so it was very hard to convince, no? And then culture started changing. I remember when I introduced data, the data scouting, that today also is part of the job, no, in a club, the same approach. Wow, we are not US NBA. Data and football are two separate things. Today, you know, it's the same as buying house, just going without filtering on internet.
Yeah.
Same.
Yeah. So let's ask today to Tarkan Batkın. So, of course, you are always emphasizing that the pandemic would help the data developments in football. But how is the data scouting is today? How in your point of view?
Well, I'll come back to Matteo and I'll tell you what it was in the years of 2010, right? Of course, we, the data collection first, because you need to collect the data, and remember in Bulgaria, the taggers and forming the data. But imagine those days, you were finding really hard to indeed talk to them about the video. You must watch the video of the player. No, we'll be on the field to watch it. Okay? Then that battle went on and on. But after the pandemics, so many things changed because the overall world football industry shrank due to the fact that you know it better anyway. You are the head of recruitment and Fortuna. The stadium revenues disappeared. Sponsors disappeared. And everybody had to rely on the field. And it was extremely hard to watch a match even in a live scenario because there was no fan. There's no noise, and people created noises inside the stadiums. But what changed? The money, when the money disappears, okay, then there's no room for mistakes. So what the people start to do, okay, we need to investigate the data of the players and our own teams if you're a sports director. And at the time of the pandemics, we had about 6 customers. Now we have over 100 customers. Why? Because agencies, teams, they really need to detect the players like a microscope operation. They really need to understand the player, compare the player, same player to same player to other players. And one of our really proud features is a virtual transfer and the formation of artificial intelligence. Because when I was a director in Bursaspor, I used to receive 50 offers a day from agencies, plus minimum 10 offers from my own scouting team for me to make a selection to go through it with the coaches and the sports director of my own at that point. So what happened was, it was a very, very lengthy process because we used to watch, if you want to know about the player, you need to spend minimum 5-6 hours, whereas the artificial intelligence leveling now gives you that component of should I spend time in this player or not in almost 5 seconds. Because the new word inside football industry is called data benchmark. Each sports director, head of recruiter, scout, or even an agent needs to know the power of their player because that power gives you an idea whether this player is suitable for a particular team, not everyone, because everybody has a different power. In Italy, in Turkey, in Germany, top level team, middle level team, relegation battler. So which one are you? Because each of them has a different center forward benchmark, different right back benchmark. So who is it that you're looking for a player? That has actually been defined. I believe that gave a lot of power for Comparisonator users and the insertion of the AI mechanism. So imagine from 2010 to 2023 how fast everything is developing. But the decision-making process now starts first with data, then the video. If there is a time, they go watch the player live. I mean, data, you cannot make a decision right away with data. So you really, I'm an old-fashioned guy myself, that I would like to actually see the player on the field, but which one? So 30 days times 50, so I'm supposedly receiving more than 1,500 players in a normal world.
Yeah.
So how on earth I can actually investigate all of them?
Yeah. So let's ask this question to our head of recruitment. So we have an head of recruitment of Fortuna Sittard, America Branco. You are one of your youngest heads of recruitments in your generation, and please don't see that people is young. This is a very experienced head of recruitment with the years in this job. So, okay, let's talk about what Tarkan said. So I am a player that I have been recommended to Fortuna Sittard, and you know nothing about me. So, what is going to happen in Fortuna Sittard recruitment department? How do you explore me? How would you understand my performance levels?
Good morning, Didem. First of all, let me just allow me to welcome everybody, say hello to my panel colleagues, and say that I'm very happy to be here in Turkey, a country with so much football potential, a country that has been developing over the last few years. It's the second year of the convention, and not only for such country, I would take a few days off my January, which is such a hard month for us to come here. It's the country of the owners of my club. It's the country of our captain, Burak Yilmaz, and actually his hometown. And for me, I believe that, as I said, Turkey has a great potential, and these kind of events, this kind of work that is being making in the Turkish football panorama will give lots of good results for Turkey in the future, because there is a lot of potential on and off the pitch. As far as what you asked me, and going to what Matteo said and to what Tarkan said, what would happen? I am a little bit, as you mentioned, that I'm young. Well, this is just a way of looking at it. I feel old for the number of years I've been doing this job, so taking decisions for almost 10 years now. And for the fault of Matteo, for 12 almost, I have been looking at his former invention for almost every day for the last 12 years. So he's maybe the reason I sleep more or I sleep less, because I do matches at different times. But going to what you said, as I said, I'm a little bit old-fashioned, and I will, at the end of my first intervention, I'd like to show you a video just about what is Fortuna, because I believe a lot in life and in football of what is the context. So data is a great tool within the context of the club you are in, of the decision you are making. So I like to look at every decision as a decision, every player as a player. Sometimes you have certain filters for a player at that moment you have to sign, being regulation features that you have to fulfill, be it a specific situation that the president, the sport director, the head of recruitment, the coach have analyzed in the team that the team needs at the time. So you cannot say, okay, let's scout just to scout, this guy is good, but why is he good? Is he useful for you? So we have to be very careful when saying what is more important and what is less important. I think, as I said, data is a great tool, and I would say I use it, and allow me to disagree, Tarkan, in my side, I would go the opposite way. I would scout, then filter, and then use the data to, I would say, compare. Tarkan is here, the Comparisonator, so to compare and to give me the right parameter saying, yes, your eyes are seeing correctly, and yes, this guy might give you a little bit of edge on this part of what you need, or not. So I would probably take it to the other way, so actually taking data to fulfill the requirements you need and to use it wisely to make sure that you are the margin of error that you have on a signing, which is very, very big, and that's the beauty of football. We all look at it this different way. We all look at it, you like one player, I like a different player. You like one club, I like a different club. You like a coach and a style of play, I like a different style of play. But I'm not scouting for what I like, I'm scouting for what I need. So this is very important. Now I would ask you to show a video. It's just a video about Fortuna, but the history of Fortuna and the signing policy of Fortuna has to go within what Fortuna has been in the last few years and what the owners want for Fortuna.
So let's, if we can we watch the video?
Yeah, it's 2 minutes, very fast.
Fortuna starts, and we can see what is it.
I think if you have the sound, it would be great also. So yes, this is Fortuna. It was the first professional club in Holland. This is the
oldest club in Holland.
The oldest professional club. Yes, so the first club to be professional, to sign professional players into other professional sets of players. So the club developed under Turkish ownership in the last few years, and obviously it culminated with the signing of Burak this year. He's a very important person in our project. He can still give us a lot on the pitch, and he's still the top scorer. He's our captain, and I think he will help us develop to give the next step in the next few years. Because our owners are very, very ambitious, but they are not crazy. Everything is very controlled, the budget is controlled, and everything, we are trying to professionalize the club more and more. This is our left back, and he's the player with most matches on the squad right now. He's an English player, George Cox. So yes, for what is it saying is that Fortuna had financial problems in the last 6-7 years, and they always saved in the last minutes, and they got promoted to the first league, Eredivisie, in 2018. So Fortuna is a survival club. It's a club that has always struggled in the last few years, but always managed to come out on top. So this is also a characteristic that maybe data cannot measure, but somehow you have to look. For example, one of our owners, and he helps me a lot in our, he's a very, very experienced person in football. He likes to watch matches, so live scouting. About 1 hour and a half before the match, he's at the stadium. He likes to watch warm-ups. He says he gets a lot of feeling about the players on the warm-up. Yes, so this is the beginning of the process. So we take it from there. We sign the player, we see it again, and we go again. And to get to a point where, exactly, yes, we compare his data numbers, and are our eyes telling us the truth? Is it what we need? So I am a little bit, as I said, a little bit old-fashioned. I believe in the old school scouting. I believe this influence, as Matteo said, from the Americans, is taking us to the extreme of data, and it will get to a balance. I think clubs can sign basically on data, 100% if they like, and if it works for their club. But obviously it's easier signing with I don't know, a 10 million budget than it is than to do it with a 100,000 budget. The margin of error there, also with the money you have, may be bigger or smaller. So I like to look at every deal and every player
over the years, the club has made
to the context of what it is and the moment that it is. And the time you have to sign. If you're signing a player on the 31st of January, you will have to take everything you saw for the last 6 months maybe, or the last year and a half or 2 years. So it's very specific, very specific. I cannot say it in a broad spectrum, this is how we do. We do it like this, like this, like this, because I don't think it's fair. a football player and people, and again, that's the beauty of football. You have so many different influences. You are not buying one thing that costs you X and you can sell it for Y. It's a person that can be at a certain moment in his life where he's more mature and he's ready to put in the work. A person that has a personal problem that can have 2, 3 bad months. So it really depends on it. And I believe, above all, and to finish, on the person itself. So how much you can motivate him, how much you can know him. I will never sign a player without speaking to him, at least on the phone. Myself, the coach, and you.
So how's your experience been with Comparisonator?
Well, with Comparisonator,
The way you use
as
it,
I said,
probably.
I use it as probably one of the last filters. So let's say we have a short list of 10 players, of which normally I would say 30% are possible, so 3. And in my head, in the coach's head, in our scout's head, and in our owner's head, maybe this one gives us that, the other one gives a little bit more of that. What do we need exactly? And with Comparisonator, we just try and, with the indexes, with the data we have, say, yes, okay, we know this one gives us this more. Maybe this one we were wrong. We think that he was not as determinant in the last third, but he is more determined than this one. So let's look at him again. Let's actually go for this one. So I use it as probably the key filter in the last moment. But as I said, and repeating it not because not Matteo is here for the last 12, 10 years.
Because of him, you sleep less.
I don't know if I sleep more or sleep less. I told him this yesterday because maybe I sleep more because I can watch matches at a different time, or I sleep less because I'm watching matches until very late and it keeps me hooked on my job.
So, Matteo, we know that every technology is coming from a need, but when you start something, you're giving people a need that they don't know that they need that, as we are doing right now as again. So yes, I'm just trying to tell this again and again. Technology is not a solution. Technology is a need in football. And the first days today, the problem is the same. How would clubs understand their needs with the solutions of technology? So, for example, Juventus needs is different, or Lecce's needs are different, and we are giving them the same technology, and we are trying to train them to have to use this. So how is this differences developing the technology?
Of course, in last 10 years, probably, there was a boom of sports tech companies. Personally, I founded also a sports tech incubator. We received a lot of requests of helping from younger startups that want to innovate, again, football. You know, there are many areas in a club that can be helped by technology. There are startups trying to improve the sleep of the players, to check how players had the night. There are startups analyzing any single movement. Of course, the needs are the same, but organization of the club, the size of a club, the staff of the clubs are so different. Fortuna is a small club. If with the decision really centralized, you cannot think that a sport director with a small staff can use many technologies. It's normal. The same as your iPhone.
Yeah.
How many apps you have? Hundreds. How many apps you use every day? How many apps you use sometimes? How many apps you could use, but at the end it's okay. So I think this is the same. According to the culture of a single person, for sure the culture of using technology in any process is growing because technology is so useful. At the end, it's saving time, making decision more efficient, no? Reducing the risk, no? Of mistakes, having a sort of backup in your decision. If data are saying this, okay, I can be a bit more sure of my decision. But again, there are different in a club. There are different areas of use of technology. Also in the sports area, there is performance. There is also organization. So any tools that help to improve organization. There is data scouting. Then there is also the media and the fans engagement. This is another word. But I think if you ask a sport director, probably he is receiving every week 1 or 2 proposals of new startups, that are trying to improve something. There are startups providing information on injuries.
Yeah.
There are startups trying to prevent injuries, and so.
So I'm going back to Tarkan Batkun from where Matteo was talking. So yes, we are aware of the transfers and the scouting with the data, but in this world, maybe clubs and agents are not aware of data, but fans do. So there is a huge amount of people that trying to understand the data and starting to look at football, what they watch through data. So maybe fans can yet understand the importance of data than the clubs, and so with the fans' interest, maybe sports industry may change with the point of the fans' view. What do you think about that, Tarkan?
Well, the new topic in the world is actually fan engagement. Because before the pandemics, the fan engagement was in a very medium stage. However, once the clubs understood without the fans, there's no football. Yes, you can still watch the game, but without the fans, you cannot enjoy. So the strategy actually changed into, okay, how do we entertain our fans? How can fans embrace the team? But also fans in that the last 2 years period, as you know, we've got different Comparisonator, Twitter and Instagram accounts. So we understood that the fans need to push, especially to do better transfers. So we started doing a fan engagement project, first with scouting game. Okay, how much of it that the fans understood? So before the pandemics, not. But after that, we started releasing data backed up best 11s. Okay. Usually, one fan watches only Galatasaray game. The other one watches Trabzonspor game. Or the fan of Juventus watch Juventus game. But they understood the reality. There are other things happening. So we started providing them what is happening elsewhere. So who is the best centre-back who went to opposition third? The best. So then the fans realized, so according to UEFA Champions League statistical investigation, a team needs to go to opposition third 20 times to score 1 goal. So how many times my team needs to go there? 60 times. Okay. How many times we Galatasaray went to the opposition third, 30 times. Oh, okay, either one goal or two. So then they started actually picking this information for betting, for other fan games, such as Premier League game or all sorts of other fantasy games. So the fan right now is far more knowledgeable, far more investigative, and in the next 2 to 5 years' time, fans will push the entire industry to a level the player selection needs to be on top. So therefore, the data and the Comparisonator's plan is to also engage fans across the board. Especially, as you know, the women football is also rapidly extending, and now we are checking all the data of ourselves, the ones that we collect, women's engagement in football data. Because I have such respect to women, because they've got more attention to detail compared to men. So in Comparisonator, we compared men and women.
So I'm going to tell you a story, a real story.
Because we always battle between me and Didem. Didem always has a different opinion than I, and we always fight. Oh, this is that. No, they will score and they will lose, and we will win.
Yeah,
The
always.
battle in the office.
Yes, we are always. So I'm going to tell you a little short story, a true story, but I'm not going to give you the names. A scout finds a player in Poland, a very good striker, and says that, yeah, wow, he is very good. So he's very good at the head, he's very good at the feet, and he's unstoppable in the box. So he says to his coach, the team coach, take a plane ticket and come to Poland right now. So these two goes, the head coach and the scouts, goes to another game in Poland to see the striker, and head coach watches the match for 5 minutes, and then he says to his scout that if I wanted a tree, I would go to a forest. That tree was Lewandowski. And this is a real story. The scout told me about that. So every time when a player appears, that would be the chance of the new Messi, new Lewandowski, new Benzema, but even a garbage. You cannot understand, but you can easily make the mistakes lower and trying to find the best. But how? This, I think the art of head of recruitment is this: finding the potential and not mistaking. Yeah?
Yes, but just to go back to what you said, I'm sure that scout that told you the story about that tree that is Lewandowski didn't tell you the story about the other 100 trees that never made it, because he only tells that one.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
it's very easy that when success happens in football, everybody's behind it, and when things don't go their way, no one takes the responsibility. So I take that with a pinch of salt. I think I would probably say a random number, but if you sign, I would say successfully, and obviously, as Tarkan said, it's very important in the future to try to reduce the margin error, but successfully for the pitch, because that's what fans see. They see the pitch. They don't know the work that it's put in. They don't know the strategies that are trained by the coach on the week. And all this is, yes, it has data involved, but it's very also subjective. But let's say that 30%, 40% you have success in signings, they can make a very, very big difference in the team. Can add you a very, very, very important thing. So I would say, again, it is very important to take the data and not only use the parameters that are important for you, but use it in the moment, as Matteo said, that is important for you. Because obviously, and again back to Tarkan in his first intervention, we don't have time for everything. But we aim, obviously, and this is the good thing about ownership in football, to become more professional and to be able to explain better to our owners why we want player X or player Y. Because this is really the most important thing, with all the respect for the fans, because in the end, if you ask 9 out of 10 fans, will they touch the ball 2 times and win, or touch the ball 200 times and lose, they will take the first option, and not only the Italians, because football has changed. So the question is how to use it and choose it wisely. Because if we go to just raw data and we say, okay, and I'm going to give a very broad example, this player wins every defensive duel. Okay, but he doesn't win offensive duels, but he's a striker. Oh, let's put him a center back. Will it work? Yes, in baseball it did work because they do repetition of the same movement. In basketball it might work because they do repetition of the same movement. In football, what does the center back do? Just the same thing? He just headers the ball? No. It depends on him. It depends if you play with 3 defenders. It depends if you play with 5. It depends if you play with 4. It depends who the right back is, if he plays right back or right center back. And it depends the midfielder in front of him. It depends on what the coach wants for him to do. Okay, so these things, we can put it in data, yes. But what about if we need just someone that theoretically he will bring a great addition and he will not spoil the group? Let's say this guy has great stats, but I made a call, I spoke to former colleagues, and he doesn't have the work ethic for your group. And the other guy is maybe not as good in stats, but everybody says, no, he's a hard worker. From my experience, as I said, almost 10 years now, a good group of workers and with a good mentality and good environment between them will always beat a very good group of players.
Okay, so let's ask to the audience if they have questions. Yeah, please.
Okay, good morning. This is Fatih Abogadayal from LTT Sports. My question here is since you all guys are very aware of data, and we have here one of the primary companies that data was Scout. Do you guys think that the booming of the data companies, because now we have like maybe 100 or 100 plus data companies, do you think that's something good or bad? Because sometimes I see a bad perspective because the talents on the market of data became now is quite rare, because a lot of companies and a lot of people who just want to copy a successful models. So do you think that's a good thing or a bad thing? Because I see a bad perspective, but I'm just curious about the advantage of that, because what I see now that a lot of sales guys with less experience, when they approach anyone and someone like asking them a pure question about technicalities on data, they are not able to answer. So that sometimes give a bad perspective about the company itself. Maybe the company have a good product, but they don't have time to teach their employees on that. So I just curious about the good thing of this perspective, that having many data companies. Thank you.
Please, Matteo.
For sure, in any industry, competitions helps to improve. When Y-Scout started, we were alone. For 2-3 years, we just thought about selling. Then some competitors start coming. We change immediately how we can improve. The same as in data industry. Many companies means more solutions, more ideas. Of course, things you are mentioning is about organization inside any company, no? Having the right people to to tell about the product, to sell the product, to explain the product. For sure, today is simpler than in the past, no? Because also technology in API, you know, how data can be managed from just a technical point of view is easier and easier. So for that, many companies are growing up. As I told before, there are many aspects in football, so there are companies that can today focus single points. There are companies that give you just an overview and so on.
Any questions? Please.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay, I would like to ask a question to Americo, and thank you so much for sharing the history of the club Fortuna, and it was really nice to learn that the club burned from ashes many times, and it seems to me logical when you said the owners are Turkish, because we have that spirit historically. And when I come to the question, you are talking about data, and he also mentioned about there are a lot of different data, but what I see a really big amount of that data focusing on the physical abilities of the players. But there is another invisible part of the iceberg, and this data is not focusing too much on the cognitive abilities of the players. And yes, physical abilities are easy to train and develop, but cognitive abilities of the players are a little bit difficult to train on the field, and there are some other products for that. And I want to ask that, what is your approach that cognitive skills of the players are you using as a criteria for scouting? Thank you.
Yeah, I think I understood the question correctly, and thank you for the words about Fortuna. Yes, it is very hard to assess the competitive nature of a player, and also because this competitive nature can change at certain moments in his career. Despite there are players that are mature at the age of 18, there are players don't reach tactical and competitive maturity by the time they are 27, 28. So, as I said, I try not to sign, or we try not to sign, without speaking to the player, without knowing what moment he is in his career. Why did he work in a certain context and he didn't work in another? Why did he work with a certain coach and a certain formation and he didn't work in another? So this is, yes, as you said, there is an obsession, of course, with physical data, but the mental situation is something that you probably can never put into data. But for example, let's try and use data in this situation. You can maybe take a player that plays, I will go again for a defender, so a right or a left back, that some coaches like that he's above 185. Let's say he doesn't have 175. He's not very strong physically, but you can go through data and check that he wins 80% of his duels. So maybe from this data, you can say that he has competitive mentality, because if he wins duels, it means he is strong in his competitive nature. So yes, as you said, and it's a very, very good question. It's a question that will never have, let's say, a black and white answer. It can only be gray. From my opinion, I try to, with all the information I have, and again, by speaking to the player, by explaining very clearly what is the club, what is the aim for this signing, and usually from my experience, players don't like it when you try to tell them a story. Players, coaches, you say, yes, you will come, you will play. Players like it in every moment, despite being players that have reached the top level or players that are still on the way to do it. If you tell them the truth, your role will be this at the club, at this moment. And then it will be up to you, it will be up to the coach's decision. But it is important to also have this, from my experience, honesty to the players. Brutal honesty sometimes is the best. You just tell them you played badly, or this will be your role. And so, coming back to what you said, it is very important to try and balance things out. And as I said, I gave you two perspectives. One, purely a scouting perspective. You can watch him in a match, maybe the way he warms up, maybe the way he comes to the bench and wants to come in and to show he shows that he's competitive, he wants to win, his team is losing, he's like trying to motivate his companions. These are small things that only the eye can see, but maybe I gave you a physical player or profile that's in theory will not win duels and will not be competitive, but maybe the data can prove me wrong and say, yes, he can win all the duels because in every part of the pitch he's winning his duel despite being physically weaker. Otherwise, if we didn't have this, football would be played just for guys 1m85 and full of muscles, but it has changed, so it's not only for athletes, it's not only for football players, it's for someone in the middle. So we have to, as I said, I don't think and we will ever, and that's why we are all here and why we all love football, have an exact parameter to say, yes, this is a good signing or yes, this is a bad signing. There are so many influences, so many things. There, you probably could tell each one of you 10, 15 stories of the club you support that you said, I signed this player was really bad, he never scored a goal, and then he went to your club and he was a historic player. So I hope that I was clear. If you want to, about my view, but if you want to ask me, but I think behind what you asked, I went to the points that I can focus.
So, Serkan Batkin, what is next in data scouting? And what is next in Comparisonator?
Well, what's next? What we notice, the management of other scouts, which we tried in Y Scout, remember scouting room, and but at that point of time, the importance of data or importance of management wasn't so high. But this time, sports directors, chief scouts want to have the maximum ability from their co-workers, investigating their reports and understanding their scouts also, because being on the field and making a report is one thing, but making a certainly understandable, less subjective report is something that we are trying to evolve. So as the teams, winning teams, they always win the game because of the blocks have the same space between them. So they go like this and come back in the same space. So that's what Comparisonator is going to try to do, is to move the space between the workers, the coach, the assistant manager, head of recruitment, scout, chief scout, owners are all in the same space and speaking one data language. Well, that's what Comparisonator is going to try to do. Is a more of a CRM style, but the most important thing is simplicity, simple information. Deep, yes, of course you have some clubs have data science departments and they make all sorts of reports, which I support them, but I am in the simple side of it. Simple report, simple match report, simple data report, but for me to be able to understand and respect the scout and respect the chief scout, respect the head of recruiter as a president or a sports director. So this is the space. If this moving as small spaces but at the same time, advancing at the same time, is the key for success, just like on the field.
Thank you very much, Serkan Batkin. Thank you very much for your great point of view, Americo Branco and Matteo. It's a pleasure, by the way. It's a pleasure to meet with the man who changed the world. And thank you very much for you.
Gerek yok ya.
Very much, huh?
Resim çekelim.
Much for all the speakers.
Please here.
And yeah, this is a photo section.
Thank you very much.
Thank you for all the meaningful speech. Thank you.